if you've been paying attention, then you have seen that I'm trying to kind of take care of some hip stuff, lower back, etc. Just some little things that pop up here and there, nothing major, just really trying to take care of stuff as it comes up rather than just kick the can down the road, especially at this point in the off season. There ain't no point in trying to tough it out or be a hero or anything. You just gotta be smart, be intelligent with programming and training to make sure the little things don't turn into big things and derail a season. So that being said, a little QL strain. I've had it before. Don't know exactly what caused it. Maybe some of the more dynamic sprinting and get-ups that we've been doing in some of the rugby training kind of flared up a little bit. Noticed a sharp pinch 2 or 3 weeks ago in my left low back, and it was right before I went to bed. Didn't really do much with it, but since then my deadlift workouts are pretty much like anything that I have in that lower body, left side, just a little achy. So in the last video, you saw the deadlift workout, trying to do sumo to see if maybe like some lower weight and some different positions would help, and it didn't really. I think it might have aggravated it a little bit more. So today is going to be dedicated just to real true rehab stuff, some exercises that I've picked up along the way from some of the online resources and friends in the business, Dr. Josh Fetty and Dr. NJ Biaglione, I think. I don't know how to say that name. She's going to correct me, I'm sure. And so I'll do a voiceover just to explain what I think I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what I'm feeling, the positions that I'm trying to feel. And hopefully, if y'all got, I know low back stuff is a common ailment amongst athletes, and I've been fortunate most of my athletic career to not really have much in the way of back stuff, especially not something derail me for long periods of time. So my gift to you is me, a not expert, showing you what I do to keep this low back, hips, everything, keep the whole thing healthy. So watch it, pick up something, ask questions. If I don't have an answer for you, I might try to reach out to my friends in the business and see if they can get an answer for you. All right, first up we have some hip hikes. Just get up on an elevated platform, looking at, for me, as like 5 inches or 4 inches or so. It's got to be high enough just basically that you can really lower that hip down, shift the hip on the side down, and not touch the floor or unload at the bottom. And then you drop the foot down as low as you can drop it, and then really hike up on the unsupported side. I use a little bit of hold on to something in the front for balance, because I don't want balance to get in the way of the goal, which is to really load up that hip and really get some stretch on the bottom. So I don't really want to tense up to try to balance myself, because I ain't got that good of balance, and I definitely would be tensed up. So I think it takes away from the actual movement itself. We got to keep the goal. So yeah, you can see a little better on this side. Really try to get that left hip really high and then hike it up, and then just a quick little hold at the top, maybe for like a 1 or a 2 count. And then that left foot just floating out there in space. Right leg is straight. Posture is straight. Try not to lean forward into it. And just like I said, keep the movement into the hips. Sets and reps, looking at, like, I try to get maybe 2 or 3 sets of 10 to 15 a side. And this next one I like to call some butt walking. I think they're called QL walks, to be a little bit more, politically correct. But I essentially am walking on my buttocks. Front or forward, backwards, doesn't matter. You see, you don't make much ground. You don't cover a lot of ground, so you can do this in a small area. Just hiking the hip up again. This loads it more than that hip hike that we were just doing, and really challenges you to really get that hip up so you can get your step forward, if you will. And again, I'll do either time sets, like 30 seconds at a time, or I'll try to say like maybe 10 paces back, 10 paces forward. You can load in the front with a kettlebell like I did here, and then not move at all. And maybe if you got a small space that you're working in. I wasn't doing a great job of these, so maybe the load was too heavy, maybe I was concentrating on the wrong thing, but it is an option, so you can do that. Again, 2 or 3 sets of, again, time sets, or you want to do reps, 10 or 15 reps. Just really trying to feel it in that the QL area. If you don't know what the QL is, you're just going to have to Google it, because I ain't going to explain it. All right, and this next one, relatively new to me. I've seen something like it before, never really tried it. It's basically just an isometric hold. I think it's called the Beering Sorensen hold. Another idea that I got from watching an Instagram video that NJ and her PT clinic posted. Great educational content on Point North, I think is what it's called, or NJ Biaglione DPT on Instagram. Anyway, the whole point of this is to maintain that isometric hold, really focusing on using your hamstrings, glutes, and low back to hold you in a fixed position. For me, with the weight, it's in a progression, so you don't feel like you have to do this with weight. And again, on NJ's Instagram, there's several regressions if you can't hold or can't do this with just body weight. So I encourage you to check this out. This was phenomenal. I felt great. I ended up doing 2 60-second bouts on this, and man, my whole posterior chain felt turned on after this. I mean, it felt good. I'd say this movement is going to be a regular for me going forth. So nothing to it, but just what you see. Just maintain as rigid of a torso, basically from your knees to your freaking shoulders. Just stay active that whole time. Breathe through it, and the goal is to achieve 60 seconds of hold. Similar here, get in that same position and then alternate rows with a kettlebell or dumbbell, whatever you got, and that really focuses on like the anti-rotation. I feel like having some sort of anti-rotation is a good thing for especially throwing athletes, but I think it helps to bulletproof and armor up your back, your spine, your low back, everything. So you can incorporate that in as well. And then moving on to basically your basic side bends. Just go into your range of motion that you're comfortable with. I try not to dump into my knees and have like a soft knee either side. Really just trying to bend over. It's like the opposite of the hip hike, I guess, the anti-movement to the hip hike. I'm keeping my hips relatively fixed and then just leaning over and then focusing on the unweighted side, popping me back up to a normal posture. Again, as with all these rehab movements, I'm usually doing 2 or 3 sets of about 10, 15 reps a side, just kind of as it feels right. And progressing from that, kind of the same concept, more side bends or windmills. Not really good windmill because it's more static and I'm not really moving a lot. Doing that same type of movement, but with the weight suspended over my head. With kettlebells especially, it's hard to hold that thing locked out overhead, and you really have to concentrate on that. But it does challenge that position a lot. And as you can see, I get a little bit softer in the knee. I think that's okay. Softer on the unweighted side, the side that I'm reaching down on. I think that's okay. I think that's fine. I'm still feeling it through the torso, the obliques and everything. And it's great for also little bonus points for your shoulder as well. I think being stable in that overhead position is really important, owning that position. Another reminder, breathe through all of these things, guys. We don't need to be bracing. You can see me kind of making that pain face a little bit like I wasn't breathing. We do want to breathe through all these positions. This is a rehab movement. We want to own the positions and we want to activate the muscles. So you don't want to grit and grind and bear down on all of these positions. So do your best to breathe somewhat normally, and get as much as you can out of owning the end ranges of positions. Anyway, into these sissy squats, I think they're called. It is part of hip health. The long part of the quadriceps, the rectus femoris that extends from the hip all the way down through the knee. They contribute significantly to hip health, and for mine they're really tight all the time, so I have to do some stuff, and rather than just stretch them all the time, I want to activate them as well. So this is a good way to get some direct load to them, unweighted, not intense at all. Feels good, and hey, you get a little bit of a quad pump too. Look at those suckers, man.
Things freaking sticking out from them flowery shorts. Really good developer of that area as it's intended to be. You can load these. You can load these up. You can you can hold a kettlebell. You can do whatever you want. As far as load, I think me weighing 290 is enough of a load. And now some wall sits up on my toe tips. Again, that's kind of the target area is the quad, is that rectus femoris. Again, activating it. Isometric holds are really good for trying to get the muscles to fire fully. As you sit there in that position, your body is going to constantly look for ways to fire it so you can maintain stability in that position, and that's kind of the focus. And again, breathe. Make sure you're breathing. Did a pretty good job of maintaining breath work here. You can load these things as long as it's not getting in the way of the movement. You can load these things, or you can try to just go for longer. I think I was doing 30 seconds at a pop, so not a bad amount of time for me. I wasn't struggling too much in this. This whole workout was all rehab, so I really wasn't trying to walk away just limping from this one. So 2 sets of 30 seconds or 3 sets of 30 seconds. I don't remember what I did, one or the other. And then this one here, you've seen me probably before where I hook the band around my legs and lay on my back and pull my knees towards my chest. This was a way I wanted to get a little bit more load into the movement, and in a position that I find myself, like running position or even just like a throwing position. I don't know that is really all that important, but hey, just hitting at different angles, right? And it's a way for me also to get a little bit more load. So anyway, brace against the bench in its incline position, leaning up against it to kind of stabilize myself, and then get out in front so that you can get a little bit of a stretch in that fully extended position, so that you're not basically bottoming out the attachment there. So it took a little bit of wiggling to try to get this thing exactly right. And that lat tower I have doesn't necessarily make things really easy. It's not the most ergonomical piece of equipment that I have, but it does get the job done. But it was a great way for me to load the hip flexor. And the idea is, I think I probably could have got a little bit more flexion, like drove the knee a little bit higher, but I wasn't trying to use momentum. I was trying to just pull the knee up in a more slower, controlled method. And as you can see back there, not a whole lot of weight on this. I mean, I don't know what the block on that thing weighs, but I think it only had like 20 pounds of weight, 25 pounds of weight on the thing. So definitely, like I said, a little tricky on the first setup, initial setup, and got it figured out. And I think I'm gonna keep including this in there, see if it pays off for me. And last, certainly not least, these reverse Nordics. Been a few weeks since I've been including these in there, and need to get back at it again. That rectus femoris, my quads are insanely tight, feel like all the freaking time, and especially the more I sit at work, the worse it gets. But I can say one thing I noticed: I did these at the very end on purpose, and it was almost like a good gauge of how well the exercises I selected on this day worked for me, because this was not as uncomfortable as it is when I try to do it at the beginning, or even in the middle of the workout without trying to do any of the other stuff that I did. So proof in the pudding, maybe. These were definitely a good way to end the session and really see where I'm at with it. I did 3 sets of 7 to 10, I believe it was. So anyway, that's it, man. That was a hip rehab workout for me, and I hope you found some movements or some ideas in there that you can work with. So until next time, later.